Welcome to a special episode of It's All Life podcast, where we talk about how to win in your life, not just part of your life, but in all of your life, because it's all life. It's not just about winning in business, it's not just about winning and having a great body or anything like that. It is about your entire life and how do you win in your life. Today, we're going to be talking about what if you are called to do something great. So one of the 7 domains of life is faith. It is what you believe. Now, this may or may not be a religious conversation for you. If you believe in God or a higher power or the power of the universe or destiny or anything where you believe that you have a purpose, what if that purpose was to do something absolutely great that would change your life and change the lives of your family and possibly change the lives of millions and millions of people? And that's what we talk about. So today I want to talk specifically about something that has been a journey that I've been on. I've always believed, this is just my own belief, and I think deep down inside of us, if you are called to do something great, you always knew it. It's just always been there. It's just kind of like there. And if you're feeling this, whether you're watching this live or if you are watching this as a replay, just type in the comments, I feel it. Just type it in the comments, I feel it. Do you feel this sense, this reality deep inside of you, in your gut, in your heart? Maybe it's been buried by your own failures or things that have happened in your life. And you're like, I don't know if I'm worthy or not. Because that's happened to people throughout history. It's happened to people that they were called to greatness. They always had this sense of it, but then they also had this self-doubt, this questioning of like, could this really be for me? Could I really have this? Or am I just kidding myself? And today I'm going to talk about a story because we're talking about the faith domain today. I'm a Christian and I have a very strong faith in God. God created the universe, that God has called us. I believe that God created us in his image. And when I think about what does it mean to be called, to be created in God's image, it's like God is infinite. God is powerful. God is sovereign. And so I'm like, God did not create ants. I mean, he created ants, but he did not create us as ants. So he created us in his image. He created us in the image of something great and powerful. And with the ability to create, that God created creators, that you get to create your life. So I call this the vortex. Virtually everything that you have in your life, you attract. You pull it into your life, you bring it into reality, into your life by who you are and how you show up and the things you think and the things that you do, the decisions that you make, the people you choose to associate with, the things that you choose to pursue and give your heart and your time and your energy and your resources to. And so today's conversation is going to be a little bit different because when I look at my own journey, just like you look at your journey of life, there's other people that have been through things similar to this. And this idea of being called to do something great, I think of Abraham. And this is a conversation that I've been having with my coach and I've been having it with my coaching members. But what if you were called to do something great? It's kind of weird for a business coach, a real estate coach, an entrepreneurial coach to talk about God and being called. To a lot of people, that's like weird. But see, I don't think it's weird at all. I think it's part of life. And whatever your beliefs are, then just be true to your beliefs. So if you don't believe that there is a God or the God of the Bible, that's fine. It's just like, what do you believe? And you got to be clear about what you believe so that your beliefs, your values, your moral compass, your identity about what you believe about who you are and about the world and about reality and about if there is a purpose or calling for your life, or it's just like you ended up here on accident and you get to do what you want. But I choose to believe. I just don't have enough faith to not believe in God. I don't have enough faith to believe that I'm in my fifth wheel outside of Santa Fe, New Mexico, up in the mountains. I don't have enough faith to believe that this fifth wheel just happened to appear one day because there was some explosion in the forest and everything came together and there was enough iron ore in the rocks that it all melted together and made the handles and the fixtures and the refrigerator over there and the microwave oven and the range and the windows that it melted the sand just right, that the heat was just intense enough and the wind blew just right to create the glass and then put the screens on. I just don't have enough faith to believe that. So I mean, to me, it makes way more sense to just say, in the beginning, there was a being that already existed that had the power to create this, that there was conscious power and intention that said, I'm gonna create a universe. I'm gonna create heaven and earth. I'm gonna create life. I'm gonna create people. That's what I believe. And I don't have enough faith to believe in that this is all by chance or accident or some Big Bang theory or any shit like that. I just don't have enough faith to believe that. What I believe is that I was created with a purpose. And if you are here watching this, if this resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, what I'm going to talk about is still going to be totally relevant to you, because wherever you believe you came from, who you are, where you are, and what you do with your life is going to be determined by the choices that you make. And so today when I talk about what it means to be called to do something great, or if you just choose to do something great, how do you do it? How do you answer that calling? What is required of you to actually live into greatness? How do you break free from the things that have held you back, the things that have kept you playing small, the things that have kept you playing it safe, that have kept you from really rising to the level of greatness? Because as you're sitting here watching this right now, I am going to guess that you, like most people, have not truly lived into your greatness. You know there is more. There are things, there are horizons, there are causes, there are dreams that you have not yet accomplished. And you're like, how do I get to that? Because I'm here, I'm stuck. I'm where I am. How do I get? I've always wanted more, but how do I get to more? How do I do that? And I'm going to share with you a story out of the Bible today. It's the story of the call of Abraham. Abraham is considered one of the patriarchs, or one of the origins of most of the world's greatest religions. He's just considered either a prophet or whatever. And whether you're a Christian or a Jew or Muslim, I think Muslims consider Abraham to be one of the first great prophets. I don't know I'm not really good on world religion. I should probably learn up on that. If you know, type it in the comments. So educate me on this and learn, or correct me if I need to be corrected on this. But either way, the story is still valid. The principles are still valid, and the journey we're going to go on is still valid about this call to Abraham. So I'm going to actually be reading you 3 verses from the Bible. This is not a sermon, but maybe like a sermon. If you know my background, I used to be a preacher. I was in Christian ministry from the time when I graduated from college, and I did that for over a decade before I got into the real estate game. Let me also tell you this. I want to tell you about what's coming so that you guys can know. These first several episodes of the podcast, It's All Life, have just been me talking about the 7 domains and about building the life that you want in all areas of your life. So it's not just the one area, but I'm going to also be bringing on some guests in the future. I am leaving today. I'm going to be heading to LA for a couple of days to spend a day with my coach. And then I'm going to be heading after that to Costa Rica. And I'm going to be in Costa Rica for 2 weeks, just staying at a resort down there and getting some time away. It's going to be a working vacation. So I'm also going to be doing some stuff down there. And next week, this podcast, It's All Life, I'm going to have a very special guest. And that guest is going to be a gentleman that I have grown to love and admire and have great respect for. His name is Mr. Preston Brown from El Paso, Texas. He is a broker. He is a business owner. He's an entrepreneur. And he has built a 9-figure portfolio of businesses, and it creates for him 9 figures of income every year. And we're going to talk about how he's done that and how he's done it while having a life he's not just works 24/7 and it's just all about money. In fact, when you talk to him, it's like he doesn't even care. It's just he cares about life. He cares about his family. He cares about his calling. He cares about the people he's around and the people he works with. He cares about taking care of himself. So it's his story is an amazing story in his journey. And he's also going to be one of our main speakers at Millions Live. Millions Live is a 3-day event that I have coming up in August. You can go to millionslive.com. Millionslive.com. I'll have my team post the link in the description here. Millionslive.com. Get your ticket. All the in-person tickets are sold out, but we do have virtual tickets. 3 days of learning how to create a 7, 8, or 9-figure business and how to have a life while doing it. And I like Millions Live. It's not just about making millions, it's about impacting millions of people. And so if you are interested in that, go check that out, millionslive.com. Next week, make sure you put on your schedule. Next week, 7 a.m. Pacific time, I'm going to be doing this live with Preston Brown. It's going to be an amazing time together. And so that is what you can look forward to. Okay, so let's talk about your call to greatness. Your call to greatness. So here is the journey. And here's what I'm going to tell you. If you are willing to do what Abraham was willing to do, you can achieve more than you ever dreamed possible. What if more is possible than you ever dreamed? And so I'm going to share with you this 3 sentences from Genesis chapter 12. Now the Lord said to Abram, and before he became Abraham, had a name change, which is a different conversation, but very powerful. The Lord said to Abram, go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land I will show you. And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. And there's pieces to break down on this, right? There's just so many pieces to break down. I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you, I will curse. And in you, all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Now that's a calling, right? This is like a huge calling. He's like, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pack up and head out. I'm going to show you where to go. And I'm going to take you to a place. And there I am going to build from you a great nation. You're going to have a family. You're going to have a clan. There's going to become a nation. It's going to change the world. And I'm going to bless you, and I'm going to make your name great. Now, this is very interesting to me. A lot of people are like, I want, if you want to be famous, like I want to be famous. Here was the difference. He's not just, I'm going to make you famous. I'm going to make your name great. He says, I'm going to make your name, I will make your name great so that you will be a blessing. I will bless you and make your name great so that you will be a blessing. So it's not, I'm going to bless you and make your name great so you can have a great ego and be king of the mountain. No, he's like, I'm going to bless you and make your name great so that you can bless other people, so that you can have an impact in the world. Now, if that's resonating with you as you're watching this, if that's resonating with you, just type in the chat, that's me. Because this message is for you. If you are sitting here and go like, no, I'm just a normal person and I'm not called, I don't believe anything other than just like, I just do what I do and I'm just going to be comfortable and all that kind of stuff, then this message is not for you. It's not going to resonate at all. Probably no reason for you to continue watching this. But if you have inside of you this sense like, yes, I know I have been called to do something great. I want to do something great with my life. I'm going to do something great with my life. I just don't know how to start. I don't know what to do. How do I do that? So I'm going to start with one piece before any of this can happen. And that is that the first thing that's got to happen is you have to listen. You have to be listening. You have to listen for the call. You got to be listening for it. Now, at the end, I'm going to break down what I believe you are really seeking and what you need to be able to answer the call to do something great with your life. But I'm going to tell you the 3 steps that have to happen. So he lays it out right here. God lays out, here are the 3 steps that have to happen and 3 things you must do to start your journey to greatness. If you want to start making a bigger impact and creating more abundance in your life, and because the whole outcome of this is, here's the destination. Let me just start with the destination. What do you want? And here's what God had called Abraham. Number 1, he called him to a new land of opportunity. A land of opportunity. He says, I want you to leave where you are, and I want you to go to a place I will show you. And there I'm going to turn you into a great nation. I'm going to make your name great. I'm going to bless you. I'm going to make you a blessing. So 1, the destination was a new land of opportunity. You've got to be willing to move from where you are right now. And I'm not talking necessarily about geographically, just saying you've got to be willing to change. You've got to be willing to go on a journey that will take you to greatness. So 1 was God promised him a new land of opportunity. And he told him later, he said, I'm going to give you this land. And there's going to be enemies there. So it's not going to be easy, but I'm going to give it to you. So I've got something big for you personally. Number 2, a new destiny of greatness and abundance. God says, I will give you a new destiny of greatness and abundance. Like you're going to be great. You're going to build something great. And in that, you're going to have massive abundance. I am going to bless you and make your name great. And then number 3, he says, I'm going to give you a new identity of influence and impact. Now, these are 3 things that I think are very, very powerful. That if you understand the power of what the opportunity is for you and what the calling is, and you feel this calling, that God is wanting to give you a new land of opportunity for your own life. Abundance, happiness, joy, fulfillment for your own life. Number 2 is purpose, a destiny of greatness and abundance. And this greatness, and here's something that I think is really, really important, that in our world today, if you don't have abundance, it's very difficult to have an impact. It's very difficult to have influence, because that was the 3rd piece, is influence and impact. If you don't have abundance, you're living in scarcity and you're trying to take care of yourself and you're just worried about survival, it's very difficult to have influence and impact. One, because you're focused on on saving yourself and taking care of yourself, and two, because nobody else is going to listen to you. They're just not. I know it's crazy, and some people are going to judge that and go like, yeah, I don't like that. I think that, you saw these influencers on social media, and the people that they show their fancy cars and their fancy houses, and they show all this, they show money. And here's the reason they do that. Now, some of them do it for ego, no question about it. But a lot of them do it because they know that this is what most people want. People want abundance. They want to have choices. They want to have it doesn't matter if you want to have a Bugatti or a Lamborghini or not, but what matters is that to be able to make choices, to have the things in your life that you want. And when you have the fruit on your tree, people will listen to you. So one of the things that you got to look at, if you want to have an influence, you want to have an impact, if you're called to greatness, you've got to realize that the only way that's going to ever happen is you have to create the fruit on your tree, which means you must create a life of abundance. A life of abundance. So again, because I believe it's all life, not just money. It's not just money is life. When people say there's more to life than money, well, of course there is. But money is a key. It is a resource that unlocks the door to all kinds of things that you can do with your life, in your relationships, even in your health, with your impact, with your faith, with being able to build something that's powerful and that helps other people. All of that is in play. So here's the three things for you to be able to have abundance in your life: greatness, influence, and impact, a great destiny, and leave a legacy that will change the world. Here are three things that God asked Abraham to do that I believe every single person must do if they want to achieve something great. If you want massive success, if you want to achieve greatness, and again, success to me is not just money. Success is all life, right? It's having a life of winning. It's having a life of abundance, having a life of greatness, having a life of peace and joy and love, all of that. If you want all that, there are three things you got to do. Number one, he says, leave your country. Now, what does that mean? I don't take it as leaving your country, meaning you have to move. I just moved from Southern California to the mountains of New Mexico. One, it's where I wanted to be, and I have a lot of reasons for wanting to do it. Wanted to be closer to my family, my kids, my grandkids, and all of that. But this was my dream. This is where I wanted to build my empire, where I wanted to build my nation, my kingdom, my tribe was here in the mountains of New Mexico. It's just what I want to do. I don't believe you have to leave your country and literally move from one destination to another necessarily. But here's what I think the meaning of it is. Leave your country is you got to leave your comfort zone. Because for Abraham, his country represented, it's everything he knew. He's comfortable there. He's already established. People know him. He's got everything. He's just comfort. It's a place of comfort. When you look around you at the world you are in right now, you got it at some level. You're there because it's comfortable for you, and you've gotten used to it. And you're like, this is my comfort zone, my friend. If you want greatness, the number one thing you have to be willing to do is leave your comfort zone. So God says, leave your country, and number two, your kindred. Now, your kindred would be the clan, because back in the historical days like this, is people didn't just like we do. We grow up, hopefully with our parents, we go to college, and then we go get a job, we move, we go follow the job, follow the money, wherever it is, and we buy a house, and we do our own thing. And very, very rarely now do families for multi-generations stay in one home, one place. And so back in history, that a family would grow, and the sons and daughters would stay on, and they would continue. The sons get married, they'd have kids, and they would stay in the family. And so now you have aunts and uncles and grandparents, and you have children, and you have cousins and nieces and nephews. You have all of that, and it became a clan. Well, that clan was all of your current association, all of your current relationships. That's the thing you've got to be willing to leave. So he said, leave your comfort zone, your country, leave your kindred, meaning leave all of your current association behind. Now, we're going to look in a minute. It doesn't mean he completely abandoned everybody or he just cut everybody off. It's not what he was talking about. But you've got to be willing to look at your association and say, is me staying here in my current association, in my clan, with the relationships, in my comfort zone, is this going to allow me to achieve greatness if I stay here where I am? Because you've heard them say, and this has been proven just over and over again, you become like the people you hang around with. You show me your friends, I'll show you your future. You show me your current association, and I will show you your future. A multimillionaire does not hang out with broke people. They just don't hang out with them. They don't associate with them. Now, I'm not saying not even they judge, not necessarily they judge them or even look down on them. They just don't spend time with them. It's not their environment. So are you willing to leave your current relationships? I want you to think about it. You know people right now. You have friends. You have people in your life, maybe some family members, that when you know just being around them does not serve you. It tends to drag you down. It tends to hold you back because they're always negative, or they're judging, or they're skeptical, or they think small. They are full of limiting beliefs and all of that. And your current association is going to hold you back from achieving your goals. Now, what you're going to see if you keep reading the story is that Abraham actually took some people with him. Okay. In fact, it says, so Abraham went as the Lord told him to, and Lot went with him. Now, Lot was his nephew. Okay, so he takes Lot. It says Abram took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their possessions that they had gathered, and the people that they had acquired in Haran. So he took his family, his household, his team. He took everybody. Okay, but he left the clan. So the people that were just going to stick around and stay around and keep running the status quo of their world, nothing wrong with what they were doing. They were not called to leave like Abraham was. But Abraham knew that to do what God called him to do and to receive the blessings and the greatness that God had called him to receive, he could not do that staying where he was. So number one, you got to leave your comfort zone. Leave your current world, your country. Leave your comfort zone. Number two, leave your current association. Be willing to leave them. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to cut off all your friends. It just means there's some people you're going to continue to hang out with, and they're going to go with you on this journey, and others are not. They're going to stay behind. Some of them may judge you. They may complain. They may tell you, that you've gotten too good for that. They may do all kinds of stuff, but your calling is more important than your current association. Are you willing to cut off relationships or to leave behind some of the people that you've associated with in order to achieve greatness? Because God's going to bring new people into your life, new association that's going to help elevate you and help you achieve the things that you have set. Okay, so number two, you got to be willing to leave your current relationships, your current association. Again, not all of them, but the ones that are going to stay where they are and they're not ready to grow, they're not willing to go on a journey of greatness, yet you're going to have to be willing to leave that life behind. And then number three, he said, leave your father's house. Leave your father's house. What does that mean? Because he already said you got to leave your country. Okay, so if you're leaving the country, aren't you automatically leaving the house? If you're leaving your kindred, aren't you automatically leaving the house? But I think it's something different. Your father's house, because back in the day, the real structure of society was the clan. It was the family. And the head of the family was the patriarch. So your father's house implies that his father was still the one who was the head of the clan. He was still the one who set the standards, set the rules. This is the values. This is the way we live. This is our cultural norms. This is the way we live. This is the way life is. This is the way we operate as a family. And so he said, you got to leave that. You're going to leave behind your father's house, meaning you're going to leave behind your father's traditions, your father's rules. You no longer live under the umbrella of what your upbringing taught you to believe. So this is the third piece. And this one for me has been the most profound and powerful because it was the one that I had not left behind. In terms of my growth, in terms of me doing what I felt like God had called me to do with my life, in terms of building the empire, building the kingdom, building the company that I want to build and have the impact I want to build, there was still pieces that were holding me back, and it was inside of me. I was like, I've left my comfort zone. I've left my old relationships behind, meaning the people, associations of people that judge me or criticize me or who were small thinkers or, or skeptical and all of that. I don't listen to them anymore. But there was still this piece that I was missing. And I think it was this piece: leave your father's house. Leave behind your upbringing. Now, I'm not saying to disrespect it, and I'm not saying this is anything bad about your parents, or your family, or your upbringing, or anything like that, except to say this, that you are shaped very much by the way you were raised. And if you want to go to a new level that has never been done before in your family, if you want to create something, have a greater impact than has ever been done in your family, you've got to be willing to leave behind the culture in which you were raised. Now, I'm not talking about ethnicity. I'm not talking about like that American culture. I'm talking about the family culture that you were raised in, the way you were taught. the things you were taught to believe, the expectations, the values, the norms, the rules, the beliefs. Because most of those are things that limit you to be realistic. That there's more to life than money. That money is the root of all evil. That rich people are greedy and evil. To do something great and build something great and to receive an abundance of God's blessings, you got to let go of some of the current or the cultural norms and expectations, values, and beliefs you were raised with. Here's the question. What values, what limiting beliefs were you raised with that you know are holding you back? So one of mine, and probably the biggest one of mine, now there's more than one, but the one that is going to be probably the easiest for you to resonate with, is beliefs about money. The way I was raised, my father's house, our family values was money's not that important, and it's almost better to be poor than it is to be rich, because if you're poor, you're humble and you're not materialistic, and so therefore having a lot of money, there's a lot of dangers and temptations to go with having a lot of money, and so money is really something to be avoided. So creating wealth or having riches or being rich, having a lot of money and having really nice things is more likely to be bad than it is to be good. So basically, bottom line, don't have a lot of money. And that was the way I was raised. So I have this value that money is bad, that having a lot of money probably means you're being greedy or materialistic or worldly or selfish or something like that. And as I grew up and as I experienced life, I see people and I'm like, I see some people that are broke and they're a lot more obsessed with making money than people who are wealthy, because it's all they talk about. It's all they think about. Everything they talk about, it's about money, 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 money. And you're like, what do you mean? Well, like they always talk about the price of everything, how expensive things are and all this. What are they thinking about? They're running their entire life through the lens of money because they've been programmed to obsess about money. But they've been programmed to obsess about money by being taught money's not that important, and yet the reality of life hits them squarely in the face. When you don't have enough money, it's hard to function. It's hard to do things, and so you start spending so much time calculating and processing and worrying and obsessing and stressing and anxiety about money or lack of money, scarcity, and it holds you back, and this is what happened to me. So when I got into real estate and I started making a lot of money, I could make it, and I felt good making it, but then I couldn't keep it. I couldn't have it because I felt there was this inside of me, there was this like programming that said, bad boy, Kevin, you're a bad boy. You're going the wrong direction here. You're getting rich. Watch out. Probably going to go to hell. And so I had a problem with that but at the same time, I looked at people who had the fruit on their tree. They had a lot of money and they were serving the world. They were making a greater impact. And I always noticed this, that when in church, whenever we wanted to do a great project or some mission or do something big, they always went to the rich people because they needed money. Money, my friends, is a resource, but my cultural belief, the way I was raised, programmed me to just want to avoid having money. That having money was probably going to mess me up. And can having money mess you up? Of course it can. Having anything can mess you up. Okay, having sugar can mess you up. Having potato chips can mess you up. Having a television can mess you up. Having internet can mess you up. But all those things that I just mentioned can also be a great resource if you use them correctly. So you have to get over these beliefs you were raised with, these limiting beliefs that says, well, money's just, having a lot of money, that's just not for people like us. That's for, rich people, privileged people, people who are born, they have connections, they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth and all that kind of crap. All of that's total BS, but when you believe that, it's what holds you back. You want greatness, you got to be willing to leave behind the cultural beliefs, the cultural norms and expectations, values that you were raised with. Can you leave it behind? And so God said to Abraham, you got to leave your father's house. That also meant you get to be the king. You get to be the ruler. You are now the leader, which is also very powerful. That for you to accept and answer the call to greatness also means a huge level of responsibility. Now, notice what happened. The Bible's very simple. It says, so Abraham went. He packed up all his stuff. He went as the Lord had told him. Lot went with him. And by the way, Abraham was 75 years old when he left. He was already an old guy. Okay, so however old you are, if you're watching this, if you're like me and you've been around the sun more than 50 times, if you've been on this planet a half a century or more, it is not too late It's never too late. As long as you were willing to listen and answer the calling, it's never too late. So he gets up, he goes, and it says he took his wife, he took Lot, his nephew, and his people, and all their possessions they had gathered, and the people they had acquired in Haran, and they set out to go to the land of Canaan, which was where God was taking him. So he went. He took everything and he's just like, I'm going to start over. I'm going to go and I'm going to build something great. I don't know what it is yet, but God said it's going to be a great nation, so I'm going. Now, here's what I want to wind this thing up with. Here's what I believe that if you were trying to figure out, how do I break free from the world I'm in right now, from where I feel stuck, from what I have achieved, to go to a whole new level of achievement and abundance and impact and personal fulfillment, just to have the life that I really want. How do I break free from that? And I just want to break down some things that are required for you to be able to do that. And the beauty of it is you have every one of these you have access to right now. You just have to choose it. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now, you have been called to do something great. But you have to choose to accept that calling. You have to choose to accept that calling. And what a lot of you have been doing is you have been waiting for someone or something else to come along and give it to you, bring it to you, hand it to you without effort, without struggle, without sacrifice, without pain, without having to make big decisions and take big steps. So number one, the first thing for you to answer this call to greatness, the first thing you have to have is belief, faith. You got to believe. You got to believe that this call to greatness is real. And you've got to believe that if I'm willing to leave my comfort zone, leave my current association behind, leave behind the beliefs and values that I was taught, and step out into a new world, a new horizon of new beliefs and new values and new commitments, and the belief in myself that I can actually do this, that I was called to greatness, that I can become great, that I can actually be the ruler and the king or queen of my own life. See, I believe you were made to be a king or a queen. I don't believe we were created to be peasants, because the Bible says, there's nowhere the Bible says God is the king of peasants. Now, I'm not against being a peasant. I'm just saying that's not what God did. He created us in his image. So if God is a king and he's the king of kings, he's the king of kings, not the king of peasants. So if God is the king of kings, then who am I? Well, I'm one of the kings that he's the king of. So I am a king, but I have a king, because God is the king of kings. You are, my friend, called in God's image, created in God's image. And the very first command, if you go back to the beginning of Genesis, the very first command that God gave to humanity, that he gave to Adam and Eve, that he gave to men and to women, was he said, be fruitful, i.e. produce, create stuff. Number two, multiply, have children, have babies. Number three, fill the earth and have dominion. What does it mean to have dominion? It means to dominate, it means to rule, it means to be a king, it means to be a queen. It means to reign, to rule, to control. That God created us to be rulers and to be sovereigns and to dominate and have dominion, not to be peasants. This is how we're created. And when I started realizing this, that God's a king of kings, I'm not a peasant. And we've been raised, see, most of us were raised to believe we were peasants. We were raised from the time we were little kids to sit in your chair and do what you're told. You sit there and you do what you're told. Now, when you're a little kid, that's appropriate because you are under your parents. They're trying to keep you alive, trying to keep you from killing yourself by playing with fire, or burning the house down, or sticking finding a bobby pin or a paper clip and sticking it in the electrical outlet. Your parents were there to protect you and to raise you. They set boundaries for you, and you were not the king. You were the prince and the princess. But the prince and the princess didn't have authority. They did what they were told. But they were preparing you to grow up and to go out on your own and to be able to rule your own life. But the problem is society has trained us never to rule our own life. Or society has trained us that you need to be raised by your parents and raised to do what they tell you. Then when you go to school, you got to do what your teachers tell you. And then you get a good education so that you can go out and get a job and do what your boss tells you and do what the government tells you. COVID was a big experience on seeing if they could get you to do what they tell you. We want people to bow the knee to us. So we are going to train you and condition you to be peasants. We're going to tell you what to wear. We're going to tell you what to do. We're going to tell you what you need to inject into your body. We're going to tell you whether you can open your business or not. We're going to tell you what where you can go and travel and where you can't travel. That all the government shutdown. People talk about the COVID shutdown. It was not a COVID shutdown. It was a government shutdown that used COVID as an excuse for the experiment. To train you and condition you to be a peasant. To train you and condition you to bow the knee. To train you and condition you not to go do something great. And in the middle of all that, we've been conditioned for most of us our entire life from the time we were little kids, we were trained to sit there and do what we were told, to bow the knee to somebody above us rather than to own our own life. And when God called Abraham and said, you're going to leave your father's house, means you're no longer under your father's authority. You now are the king. You are now the leader. You now have authority to build, to go do something. And I'm going to make of you a great nation. So you got to believe that you are worthy of this. The second thing is permission. People are seeking permission. They all want, people want permission. Like, please tell me I can be great. Motivate me to go do something great. Just like, I'm not sure that I'm worthy to do it. And people are looking for permission. But here's the beautiful thing, is when you realize, my friend, if you've been called by God, the only place you have to go for permission is yourself. What if you stopped waiting for permission from other people and you just gave yourself permission to go do something great? What if you gave yourself permission to go pursue your dream? Right now, what if you gave yourself permission to say, I've always wanted to do this? Well, what if you gave yourself permission to do it? You go like, I'm an adult, I can do this. Now, I'm not talking about being irresponsible, but just saying I can choose. And this is my dream, I'm gonna go do it. I'm gonna take my family, I'm gonna take the people that are right to go with me, I'm gonna take what I have, but I'm gonna go build something greater. Now you gotta do that, you gotta step out of your comfort zone, leave your country, you gotta be willing to leave your current associations, leave your kindred, and you gotta be willing to let go of all the rules and stuff that your parents raised you to live under. I no longer bow the knee to my parents' values or beliefs. Now, I'm not saying I completely reject them or repudiate them, but now I get to choose what I believe. I get to choose what I do. I give myself permission to choose my path. My friend, when are you gonna stop deferring your dreams and submitting them to everybody else's opinions and waiting for everybody else's approval? You don't need people's approval. You need your approval and God's approval. I need my permission and God's permission. That's it. If you're going to do something great, people that do something great step out. They're ones that step out of the box of what everybody else wants and expects and trying to fit in and not step out of the comfort zone. I don't want to offend anybody. And so we're waiting for other people's approval. And we're worried about other people's opinions. And are they going to judge us? Are they going to criticize us? Are they going to be skeptical of us? Are they going to tell us we're not worthy? And so we have self-doubt because we are depending on them for permission. Stop doing that, my friend. If you want to do something great, you give yourself permission. And with that permission comes something very, very powerful. And that's liberation. You're free. I was doing a meeting yesterday with a bunch of my coaching members and a bunch of other Yes Masters and people that follow me. And I asked them, what do you really want? Like, what do you really want in your life? And one of the words is just, they were putting in the chat. And the word that was like by far and away, the majority of the answers was freedom. I just want freedom. We all want freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from stress, worry, freedom from lack, scarcity, freedom from having to be tied to do something for money. Everybody wants this idea of freedom. I have a shirt, it's called Free Man. Okay, I am a free man. And it does not mean I'm not. Freedom actually means more responsibility, but to liberate yourself from all the things that have held you back, to liberate yourself from the expectations and norms of everybody else. And say, you know what, I'm gonna follow my own path. I'm gonna give myself permission. And when you give yourself permission, I give myself permission to move to the mountains. I was kind of worried about it. I was like, what are people gonna think? What are people gonna say? Because you look at all the rich people, they either live in LA or Miami or New York, or they live in the big cities, and it's like, and I'm like, I'm probably never gonna drive a Lamborghini out on these mountain roads, okay? Because it's dirt here where I am. And it's like, well, what are people going to say? What do people think? Doesn't matter. The moment I chose to give myself permission to pursue my dreams and the things that I believe would move my life forward, not just for, and this is not narcissistic. I'm not talking about being selfish and just saying, screw everybody else. I don't care what you want, care what you think. I'm just going to go. but it's that you have to be true to yourself and you have to be true to the calling. And to do that, you got to give yourself permission to go, and then you're liberated from everything that's held you back to just do what God has called you to do and receive what God wants to give you. It's that liberation. And when that happens, what you get is this incredible and insane sense of control of your own life and of your own destiny. And this, my friend, is where I want this thing to end today. If you are called to do something great, and you know this, and you want to do something great with your life, all of your life, all 7 domains of your life matter. Your relationships matter. Your faith matters. The focus of your life matters. Your fitness matters. It all matters. But at the end of the day, you've got to believe that what you want is possible. And what I'm going to tell you is what's possible is more than what you believe. Because what God told Abraham was mind-blowing. I'm going to take you, just a normal guy, smart guy, good guy. He'd done some stuff. But he said, I'm going to turn you into a nation, a great nation that will literally change the world forever. That's what I'm going to do with you. Who, me? Am I worthy of that? Well, you're called. And then you got to believe it. You got to give yourself permission. Stop waiting for permission. If God has said go, stop looking around and waiting for somebody else to give you permission. For your permission to succeed. If we're going to do a business conversation, for you to be able to succeed, stop waiting for your spouse or your best friend or your broker or somebody else to give you permission. Stop waiting for your coach. If you have a mentor or a coach, stop waiting for them to give you permission. You can ask them, they can give you feedback and guidance, but you give yourself permission. And you liberate yourself from all the limiting beliefs and the limiting restraints that you put on yourself of worrying about other people's opinions, of worrying about other people's approval. And you go. And you take control of your life. If you're a person of faith like I am, you take control of your life in submission to God's will. But I'm still the one in control. You're the one in control. And you listen, and then you go. And I don't need permission. You don't need permission from anybody else. Where right now are you holding yourself back in your life from the dreams that you want, the things that you believe you are called to do? Where have you been holding yourself back from going after that? And my friend, believe it's possible. Give yourself permission and go. Liberate yourself. And some of you, that means you're going to have to liberate yourself from some bad situations. Guys, I literally had to liberate myself from a bad marriage. It's not what I wanted to do. And if I could have taken my wife on this journey with me, that would have been my choice. But it wasn't going to happen. And so I had to make a choice to liberate myself. And it wasn't liberating myself from marriage. It was liberating myself from requiring and having to get the permission of my wife to be able to be true to myself and to my calling. Just to be able to choose your path, to be true to yourself, to choose your life. Now this is a complicated, complex conversation that we don't have time to go into, and everybody's situation is different. But being willing to choose your path, to be willing to choose your dream, to be willing to choose what you know you are supposed to do with your life. For some of you, you've so suppressed that. You've so suppressed the calling, you don't even hear it anymore because you were so attached to other people's approval or opinions or the limiting beliefs that have held you back, and the self-doubt and the feelings of unworthiness, the guilt, the shame. And you're afraid that if you give yourself permission and go do something, that you're going to feel more guilt and shame. Well, only if you're measuring what you do based on the expectations of others. What if you left that behind? What if you left behind your comfort zone? What if you left behind the current association of people that do not support your dreams? And what if you left behind the cultural norms and values and beliefs that you were raised with that no longer serve you to answer the call to greatness? And then you just choose greatness. And my friend, I'll tell you right now, there's a price to pay. Because the hard part is that he left. The hard part is the journey. That's the hard part. But the difficult part, the part that stops most people, is the decision to simply go. To simply answer the calling and to say, okay, I'm packing up and I'm going to get my dream. I'm going to fulfill my calling. So whatever that means for you right now, I hope this resonates with you. If it does, make sure that you give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you share this with other people. Because I'm my life has been dedicated. How do I help liberate people from the things that have held them captive, living in the old country of smallness and not accomplishing anything and not having an impact and living in scarcity, and liberate yourself to greatness and abundance that you can have. So my friends, have a great week. Answer the call. Go get your dream and do something great.